For millions of years, Earth had enormous masters, shadows with big teeth, heavy steps, heavens filled with wings and forests crushed by the warm breath of the world. Then, suddenly, everything changed. It wasn't a slow farewell, it was an open wound. The ground trembled, the sky darkened, the air filled with dust, and when the darkness faded, silenced everywhere. Burned plants, broken trunks, real wells. In the underwoods, small bodies trembled without knowing yet to have inherited the world. They were the mammals, minuscules, shy, almost invisible. But you live. And the world now was big enough for them. At night, those little animals came out of hiding. The ground was cold. The air smelled of wet ground and rotten leaves. A smoothie could be everything. A predator. A branch falling. The wind in the bushes. Mammals ate insects, seeds, carcasses. Everything you could take quickly. Their bodies kept the heat better than many other animals. The fur protected them. The milk nourished the little ones. The mothers remained close, often hidden in dens, cracks, wire logs. They had no strength. They had stubbornness. They didn't dominate anything yet. But every night they learned to stay alive one more day. And in that silent habit was already beginning a revolution. The millennia passed. The forests rose again and opened, the climates changed, the continents moved slowly as lame on an invisible sea. For mammals, every change was a door. Where before there was a world too crowded, now there were empty niches. Some bodies became faster, others more robust. Some learned to dig, others running on the plains. The clays of land smelled of rain and young roots. Insects buzzed over primitive flowers. Life multiplied in silence, without monuments and without witnesses. Yet, right there, between leaves and mud, the future was choosing its tools. To be small, they had to be quick. The legs touched the ground in short shots. The ears moved to every noise. A shadow from above was enough to change direction. The day was full of threats: birds, raptors, snakes, night predators. No shelter seemed safe forever. So the body of mammals began to change. Some developed different teeth for different foods, other more attentive eyes, more sensitive noses, more agile claws. Every detail counted. Every advantage was a small victory against the dark. And as the world ran around them, they ran stronger. Not for conquest, to continue to exist. The world wasn't nice. Some seasons were dry and bitter, other wet, suffocating, full of insects and rot. The mammals, however, brought in a powerful secret, a more stable heat. They could move when dawn was still cold. They could look for food in many different hours. They could live in environments where other animals stopped. Their breath was small but continuous. The puppies developed, protected, nourished, close to the body of the mother. None of them thought in terms of fate. Yet fate was rewarding this stubbornness. Take care. Hold the heat. Wait for the right time. So the mammals became more and more numerous. First invisible, then common, then impossible to ignore. Mammals spread in silence, like water that finds cracks in the rock. Some remained small forever. Others became larger, faster, more specialized. During the Paleocene and Eocene, new ecological spaces were opened after extinction. And they filled them. They walked on warm soils. Between marshes, woods, muddy shores, the wind smelled growing vegetation. The nights were alive with calls and stealth movements. The fossil remains, much later, would have told this slow and patient expansion. But then it was just everyday life. Fame, fear, I'll fix it, run, and a growing number of small creatures that turned the planet a breath at a time. Not everyone chose the open ground. In some forests, the refuge stood up. Among the branches there was shadow, fruit, insects, relative safety, and there some mammals began to live with a different body. Hands capable of grasping, feet suitable for holding, eyes facing forward, not only on the sides. Jumped among the logs with a new focus. The light filtered in golden strips between the leaves. Each branch asked for balance. Every fruit demanded precision. In that simple choice, instead of standing on the ground, the future of primates began to take shape. The primates did not appear in a single day. They were born from small differences accumulated slowly, generation after generation. A more useful thumb, an eye more able to assess the distance, a brain slightly more ready to connect space, light, movement. They were animals of the warm forests, especially arboreal. They lived looking for fruits, leaves, insects, resins. The hands tightened the wet branches. The bark smelled of sap and rain. They weren't monkeys yet, they weren't us, but their body was learning a new language, precision, and from that language, a very long story would be born. Forests changed their way of life. Ripe fruit fell with soft blows on the ground. The bugs were hiding in the bark. The primates learned to seek, remember, return. Memory became as useful as strength. Where more food grew, it came back. Where the danger was greater, it was avoided. Young people watched the gestures of adults, imitating their hands, jumps, breaks. The body was small, but behavior became richer. On those slow days, full of green light and smell of crushed fruit, a new intelligence was formed, a mind able to map the living world. The climate never remained steady. The planet cooled and heated in long cycles, almost invisible for a single life, decisive for an entire strain. The forests narrowed in some places. They opened up in others, and every change forced primates to move, adapt, choose. The branches were no longer enough for everyone. Food wasn't the same everywhere. Family bands were careful, quiet, more cohesive. The tension was in the landscape itself. A fruit-filled tree could save a group. A wrong season could empty it. In that unstable world, flexibility became a form of force. The hands of primates were more than simple arts. They were exploration tools. Touch needed to understand. The skin felt the roughness of the branch, the pulp of the fruit, the moisture of the moss. The fingers discovered what the eyes were only guessing. A precise gesture was worth more than a strong blow. This led to the selection of finer, more coordinated movements. The little ones jumped, climbed, clinged. Every jump asked for balance. Every grip required attention. Every fall was a lesson. Every success remained in the body. With time, the body taught the brain to read better the branch, space, distance. So the hand became memory, and memory became advantage. The more complex the world became, the more needed to remember it. Where the best tree was, when the fruits were ripe, which path prevented the predator. With time, the selection favored larger and more elastic brains. Not to become wise, to survive better. In groups, social life had advantages. Stay close, recognize others, respond to signals. That was important too. Between branches and shadows, the mind learned to treat the group as a resource. And it was only the beginning of what one day would become human thought. No primates really lived alone. There was always a young man close to a mother, an adult attentive to the horizon, a little one who learned to stay still when everything said to run away. The sounds were few and precise. A short call, a look, a body movement. Just a little to coordinate. In the wet forest, the group gave warmth, protection, information, and it also gave a first form of bond. Those who grew up watching others grew more ready to read the world. In that fabric of presence, life became more fragile, but even richer. Over time, some lines of primates left the denser forests. They approached more open areas, on the edge of the forest, to new territories. There, the sun was harder, the highest risk, but the possibilities were also different. There were new fruits, new paths, new dangers. Those who remained among the trees continued a story. Those who went down to the margin opened another one. The separation was not clear. There was no clear line to look naked. But in the slowness of the millennia, different branches of the same family were born. And one of those branches, much later, would have led to the hominines. The road was still very long. After the first primates, the story continued to divide, experiment, correct. New forms appeared, others disappeared. Some lines adapted to more open landscapes, others to increasingly fragmented forests. His face changed. The teeth changed. Hands changed. The posture, slowly, sought new possibilities. There was no human being yet, but there was the ground on which the human being could one day appear. Land made of sight, grip, memory, group, adaptation. All this was already present in ancient forms, much before our name. And for this reason, our history does not begin with us. Much of what we know comes from fragments. A tooth in the mud, a broken jaw, a bone consumed by water. The rivers buried, moved, ruined, and preserved. The rock kept the tracks. Scientists, much later, bended their eyes on those tiny evidence. Every fossil is a question. Each layer of sediment is a lost season. The remains have emerged, a story made of dispersions, adaptations, and deep kinship. Not everything is certain, but enough is to give us back the slow breath of that ancient world. When we look back, we see a huge family. Mammals that spread after the great collapse of the ancient world. Primates who learned to see the deep of the spaces between the branches. Hominini, who much later would walk on two legs in open environments. The distance between those worlds seems immense, yet the thread is continuous. An eye that measures the distance, a hand that grabs, a brain that remembers, a group that protects their ancient heritage, more ancient than any village, kingdom, or city, older even than the word human. In the end, what strikes is not the violence of change. It is the silence with which it happens. No ad, no crowds, only millions of nights, wet mornings, worn leaves, small steps, puppies entrusted to the warmth of the maternal body. The world turned without clamor. That's why his story is so deep. Mammals did not win with brute force. They won with patience. The primates were not born by chance. They were born from a long exercise of attention. In that silence, the earth changed its owner. Today, traces remain everywhere, in our way of seeing the face of others. In the hands capable of tightening and building. In the care for the little ones. In the ancient fear of height, darkness, invisible predator. They are echoes of lost forests. Echoes of tiny bodies who learned to resist when everything seemed against them. Their story is not far away. It's in what we are. Whenever we look, remember, touch, choose. Part of that long evolution continues to speak. Not like a legend, like a biological memory. Very old, silent, still alive. In this documentary, the following works and research institutions have been used as main historical sources. Thomas S. Kemp, The Origin and Evolution of Mammals. Kenneth D. Rose, The Beginning of the Age of Mammals. Zhe C. Luo, Mammalian Evolution, Major Traits and Transition from Reptiles. Jonathan Block, Early Paleogene Mammal Fossils, and the Rise of Modern Orders. John G. Flegel, Primate Adaptation and Evolution. Elwyn L. Simmons, Primate Evolution, An Introduction to Man's Place in Nature. Max Planck Institute for Evolutionary Anthropology, Smithsonian National Museum of Natural History, Natural History Museum, London.